All right, we're back. It's been a long weekend. We've got 2 rounds left. Becky Bale's here alongside me, Joe set to take it down, to go through the last couple rounds with you. We've got an updated bracket, or a bracket that we had before, and I'll walk you through the updates. Either way, let's take a look and see the players that are still remaining in the event.
Yep, let's take a look at them. Or just kidding, we're going straight to the game. We'll update you verbally, I suppose.
All right, I will tell you the bracket. The winners, as you saw, were Ivan Espinosa. He will be playing against Jordan Litsky, who's playing Hammer. And the match you're going to see, as you see on screen right now, is Jesse Robkin with Izzet Breach, a deck that more than anyone else, I think, she's associated with. And Travis Brown playing Azorius Hammer. So 2 Hammer decks make it into the top 8. They both advanced. 2 Blue-Eye Control decks both lost. And the top 4, if you're just interested in the archetypes, is 4-color Blink, 2 Hammer decks, and the Izzet Breach deck played by Jesse Robkin. So let's see. We figured this would be the game that people would want to see. It's the match that I want to see, and that counts a lot too. So here we go.
And Joe Lissette has final word, so Joe Lissette is law.
That is most clearly not true, as I asked for a bracket and I was given the match.
That's fair.
Not everything.
Well, you did also say that you wanted to see the match, so which one did you want to see more?
I wanted to see a bracket, but
right.
we did. I was overruled. So, okay, let's get this semifinals underway. Jesse's going to take a mulligan.
Yeah, shortly after a mulligan.
Okay, so long weekend here in St. Louis for all the players and all the staff. Hope you enjoyed watching. Let's go ahead and put up the next event while Jesse is shuffling through. If you want to show up to the next Nerd Rage event in September, it's in Minneapolis. The date is, I believe, the 24th and 25th, as my request to see the event. Seems like it's to go unrequited, but yeah, it's September 24th and 25th in Minneapolis is the next Nerd Rage event. It is also the end of season 2. So if you want to show up and play, if you want to watch us here on Twitch, both of those are available to you. On Twitch, no charge. If you want to show up and play, there's a little bit of a charge. But good times hopefully were had by all. This actually may be a mold of 5 by Jesse, because there are 2 cards held in the right hand there. Yes, indeed. So not the ideal way to start off the semifinals, but nevertheless, she, I'm sure, will be up to the battle. Okay,
unsure, but okay, yeah. We're allowed to resume fetching our Marsh Flats.
And we're on camera again. I was just waiting for there to be another 10-minute judge call based on, I don't even know what, to kick things off here.
Yeah. But it's just going to be a start of the Plains into an Esper Sentinel, which seems like, once again, a very good card to start off with in this matchup.
All right. Island, Mox Amber. Ugh. Mox Amber is a key part of the deck, but is not doing much right now.
Yeah, thankfully we were able to pay for that Esper Sentinel
right.
tax.
I mean,
so...
yeah. I mean, it actually makes sense to play it on a turn where you're not doing anything else, since the Sentinel is there. It's not free later on.
Mm-hmm. And this Urza Saga coming into play, going to allow for us to play the Springleaf. And what else we got? Along with that Springleaf, we're going to go ahead and Stoneforge Mystic. What are we searching for?
Well, odds are it's a Colossus Hammer. There's probably more hammers than there are other equipment combined.
But Cauldron Complete.
Yeah, it is Cauldron Complete.
Why would we go for a hammer when we have Cauldron Complete?
It has been impressive today. I will grant that. Eldrazi was full of good-sized monsters, and the hammer, the Cauldron Complete, just absolutely blew through everything. All right, Emry for Jesse. Flips over, I don't believe an artifact went in there.
Look like it. Looks like 2 lands and 2 Emrys? I don't think that other one is an Emry, but I can't make out what it is. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, you're right. This Mox Amber is now turned on. So that's a good step for Jesse. And we'll see. What does Travis have? It's gonna be Cauldron Complete. No shock there.
Yeah, just trying to get as aggressive as possible.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, well, I was going to say Jesse obviously doesn't have a removal spell for the Stoneforge Mystic, but actually it may be the lack of red mana. But too late now. This Cauldron Complete is in there.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse's Teferis are in the sideboard, so we do know there's an Aether Spellbomb, however. So there is an avenue to getting this germ off the board. It's just going to take another turn and require Jesse taking another hit, which is rather painful.
Yeah. Thankfully for Jesse, you're at least playing a deck with a combo win. So there is a like silver lining of maybe my life total isn't the most necessary thing in the world.
Sure.
The other semi is a 4-color versus Azorius Hammer.
And we did see an Azorius Hammer mirror go to turns earlier today. So if you're rooting for that in the finals, well, then you're rooting for as much magic as possible.
Isn't that what we came to see? As much magic as possible?
I think so. I think that's what we've offered. It's been a long day.
It has been a long day. I feel like,
Yeah.
Especially the first half of the day, you barely had any breaks. Like every single round was going to time. It's been a whole lot of magic.
It did seem that way. I am looking forward to dinner after this event is over with, but I am looking forward to the semifinals and finals as well. I want to see which deck, which player can prove worthy of the Energy St. Louis 5K crown. All right, Giver of Runes.
I got a Springleaf Drum #2 from the Urza saga.
All right, Jesse makes a construct.
Yeah, good to have blockers, especially with how this Cauldron Complete is starting to rumble.
Yeah, now this turn could really be strong for Jesse Robkin here. If Aether Spellbomb is fetched up, with Emry in play, it can actually be cashed in to bounce the germ right away and then recast. Now, that's not necessarily an obvious line or the chosen line because there is the ability to make a construct with Urza Saga as well. So Jesse with options, even though hand size somewhat limited after a mulligan to 5, there are still some choices here on how to maneuver this game.
And it looks like, yeah, as you mentioned, that Aether Spellbomb going to be the pickup and allow for a nice little bounce of that Cauldron Complete. Ooh, but do we have a way to protect it? Oy.
All right. That's bad, but that Emry can recast the Spellbomb, pay for the trigger on the Sentinel, and then the Mox Amber can still allow it to be rebounced during Travis's turn. So effectively, arguably, this Blacksmith skill traded for Jesse's ability to make a construct would be one way to look at it.
If we're gonna be trying to get, if we're trying to get like punchy with other creatures later, like I don't know, spending resources as much as possible is certainly not a bad side. And yeah, with the Giver of Runes coming online the same time that Jesse would be able to activate that Aether Spellbomb, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of Travis's construct.
Sure, that's totally reasonable as well. So Jesse's construct is at 2/2, enough to hold off. I guess it can hold off everything that Travis has except for the Cauldron Complete. So no risk of dying this turn without additional pressure, but Travis may have some to bring out. So we see Shadowspear there.
Oh yeah, do you want to attach it?
I'm not sure why the Stoneforge tapped.
Springleaf
Drum. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Wow. Okay. And attaching to Esper Sentinel and saying, hey, if you want to trade your construct, okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Which may actually be a trade that Jesse wants to make.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking too, especially because like losing the ability to like coincidentally draw cards as Jesse casts draw spells. I'll throw draw in quotation marks. Seems quite good, but it looks like there's also 2 Colossus Hammers in hand for Travis. which could be a little bit spooky, but looks like that trade is going to be the case here. That Esper Sentinel will fall, but a lot of life gained, and Jesse taking a lot of damage here. But once again, is still playing a combo deck that maybe has potential to not care about it.
So yeah, still lacking red mana. So Giver of Runes did not activate. Probably wants to stick around to save the construct. Probably wants to stick around to protect the germ. However,
well, it's also the same thing if you would have lost the Shadowspear and Esper Sentinel would have like stayed alive, but you would have lost the Shadowspear to gain the life. I don't know. Like it could have been a decision, but I like keeping the Giver and just like gaining life
that's
anyway.
a good point. Yeah, no, actually that wouldn't have worked. I misspoke because protection from colorless would have knocked off the equipment, so that wouldn't have worked anyway.
Yeah, and then you wouldn't have gotten to destroy the construct as well, which I'm sure has some pluses to it as well.
Yeah, so there's a trade that makes sense here. Jesse deciding on the Saga here. I don't believe there's a Pithing Needle main deck.
I can check. Looks like the artifacts that can be picked are Mishra's Bauble, Mox Amber, Shadowspear, Aether Spellbomb, Springleaf Drum.
Okay.
So yeah, no Pithing Needle main, just one side.
So this Giver Runes is going to be able to stay in play, and Jesse's running out of mana as well as options here. Construct is made, Springleaf Drum tutored up. Springleaf Drum will allow access to red mana finally.
Yeah, that's got to be nice to have, but is it going to be too little too late here? So we have 2 mana available for Jesse. And is just checking how many cards are in hand, and Travis is allowed to go to his turn. Didn't have to utilize the Giver last turn, so still chilling there. And I believe has a Windswept Teeth and 2 Colossus Hammers in hand. Unfortunately, those Colossus Hammers are looking quite expensive.
Yeah, but they may even be required here. These color completes have looked so impressive every single time we've seen them. I don't know, maybe even pre-Lurker Span, maybe these Hammer players had messed up by not playing color complete instead. I know obviously Lurker is great too, but with the banning, just unlocks the ability to go higher on the curve. Nettle Cyst, Sword of Fire and Ice, Color Complete, whatever.
That still doesn't make... Okay. Yeah, I guess since the Culture Complete is lethal, just saying, all right, if you want to block Stoneforge as well, you either have to throw away Emry 2. Looks like Emry and this construct are going to be blocking, but also in a way that is functionally able to kill Stoneforge Mystic.
Right, and the construct will survive. I mean, that's a start.
This could be a place where...
I mean,
yeah, and this could be a place where you see the Giver give colorless, the equipment fall off, since like Stoneforge isn't going to be able to kill the construct anyway.
That's true.
Unless the construct wasn't actually blocking.
No.
No, okay. I was like, wait a minute.
Well, Travis running out of threats, but Jesse running out of life points. Finally finds red mana. Somehow this Spirebluff Canal comes to play untapped on about turn 7.
Yeah, it hasn't actually been a lot of land. Well, there has been a lot of land, but it's been in the form of those Urza sagas that have left. And it looks like we're going to be taking a moment, as I believe Jesse is likely asking a question about interactions away from the table.
All right. So, chat addressing some issues. Wondering about Spellbomb being recast with the Emry. Well, the Emry was kind of neat to block there, and it can't bounce anything when the Giver of Runes is there to protect, so it can't bounce the Cauldra. Could have, I suppose, tried to bounce the Stoneforge Mystic, but that's not exactly a road to success. And let's see. Jesse's graveyard is not stacked, but it has a decent number of cards in there. Okay, Lightning Bolt on Giver of Runes. It cannot protect itself.
Nope.
So that's out of here.
Gonna give protection from something before Giver falls. I'm gonna pass. So is this Cauldron complete with a Shadowspear going to be enough to trample through? Jesse, is it too that construct is currently a... Oh, well, I guess we can make another construct, huh?
Right. Yeah, second construct can be made. So Jesse, on board at least, is able to survive the turn.
All right, what was the draw? Obviously not a Sigarda's Aid, or we'd be swinging heavy.
All right, Shadowspear on board. Swinging for 6. And Jesse is... Oh,
Wow.
the Mox
Okay.
mana.
Oh, you're correct.
So there are no double construct there, so no double block, so the game is over.
Yeah, and then you would you could tap the construct with the Springleaf Drum, but then you'd only have a 4/4 and it's still exactly lethal for 2. Darn. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So players consulting sideboards. Let's go ahead and do the same. In fact, we can just go ahead and look at deck list or the bracket or whatever we've got. Show us something, production.
Surprise us. What do you got for us?
All right, we have Jesse Robkin's Blue-Red Breach. If you haven't seen it from a few hours ago, here it is now. It is somewhat of an aggressive blue-red deck. You can see Ragavan, Ledger Shredder, and then Emry. And then the combo kill consists of using Underworld Breach alongside Grinding Station to mill the deck and load up Thassa's Oracle Victory. So certainly multiple routes to victory, which makes it somewhat difficult to play against. We can look at the sideboard. There are 3 Teferis in there. We saw those earlier today. And that does provide a good answer to constructs. Also, Engineered Explosives, Prismatic Ending, Wear and Tear.
All seem like winners.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to like here for Jesse Robkin. That is a considerable number of cards to bring in. So we'll see if she actually wants all of them and what may come out. And if we look at Travis Brown's Hammer deck, you can see here, Memory Chips still in the deck list, Ginger Brute, and a whole bunch of 4-ofs. For the most part, one Memnite only, which I guess saves the problem of drawing several Memnites and feeling miserable. If there's only one in the deck, you can't do that.
Yeah, let's take a look at Travis's sideboard, though. I'm interested to see, like, we know that Jesse's got a lot of winners that could potentially be a big part of coming into this deck. So what does Travis want to be bringing in? I think it's kind of hard because what are you trying to interact with specifically?
Yeah, do you worry about the combo part or do you worry about the early game part? Now, Ragavan is not great against hammer decks traditionally because they're so full of early creatures that can trade. So Travis is kind of well equipped naturally to deal with the aggressive component. Lavinia has a ability to counter the Mox Amber, as it doesn't allow free spells to resolve. And Mox Amber is a key component of being able to combo off. So that's an interesting option. Hushbringer also would stop comboing off, as it would stop Emry and, more importantly, perhaps stop Thassa's Oracle from triggering.
Yeah, and I think that the Pithing Needle is just a great card in there. It's kind of like a catch-all as well. So a few pieces to the puzzle here that'll help out Travis Brown, but it really doesn't seem like these sideboard cards are nearly as important or nearly as potent as what Jesse has in store.
Maybe they definitely both have a lot to bring in, though. I expect that this game, both players will be trimming some of their aggressive components in order to bring in sideboard cards. So this game is likely to be slower than the average game one, which is probably true in a lot of matchups, but certainly true here. All right, players shuffling up for game number 2. Let's go ahead and head back down to the table. Travis Brown, a pile shuffler. In this day and age, can you imagine such a thing?
Unfortunately, I can't imagine it because I feel like every time I think we're done with it, I see it every single day.
Okay. Finals berth on the line.
Oh, that's fair. Okay. You could also just like make sure that your deck is or your sideboard is 15 cards, and that takes less time than pile shuffling.
Right. Becky referring to the fact that we did have someone get a game loss for a 59 card deck around about 1 round ago in the quarterfinals. So, yeah,
An
kind of your
unfortunate
deck.
time for
Maybe
that to
Travis
happen.
Brown is not an inveterate pile shuffler. Maybe he just did it after hearing about what happened,
Which would be fair.
last round. To Chris Smith. All right.
Arid
On the board with
Mesa,
land, no
start.
Ragavan to start for Jesse. And again, it is possible that Ragavan got boarded out.
It is possible, especially since that does seem like one of the cards. Like, if you're not going to be able to attack into a lot of the creatures that Travis is presenting, or you don't want to attack into a lot of creatures that Travis has, some other cards in Jesse's sideboard seemed just a lot better.
Yeah.
So, Esper Sentinel going to be the start once again for Travis.
Yeah, these Esper Sentinel. There's obviously the power level cards printed in the last couple of years is very high, but there's a lot of cards that you would never consider banning, which are just strong that allow like Esper Sentinel. I mean, this is just a reasonably good card to start the early game with. It's just solid.
Yeah. I
We're
like this card a lot.
Yeah, and it gives the opponent options. Like, yeah, sure, you can play right through it and ignore it to your card advantage detriment, but it is an option given to you. And here's a Ledger Shredder, which is a perfect answer to the early game. Flying, blocking, able to attack if Jesse wants, although that doesn't seem incredibly likely. And able to do some fixing as well.
And Springleaf Drum and another Esper Sentinel. Whoa.
Okay. Well, when they stack up, that can get problematic. Jesse does get the connive, and wow. So you can see here how an early Ragavan would have be minimal value against a deck like this, as there's already multiple creatures in play that would happily just trade with it.
I will say that as far as like the whole pile shuffling thing goes, I do think that if your intention from pile shuffling is just to like do it as like an anti-stress thing, like it's less stressful to spend time counting and pile shuffling like that. Like I could see that if you just like need an extra like little bit of a breather moment that does take up time for you to take that breather. That place I think it's okay. But again, I do think it is less time consuming to simply count the 15 cards in your sideboard if that is what you're trying to do.
I mean, that's not something I'd ever considered as a purpose of pile shuffling, but okay, I can get behind that.
As somebody who has a lot of anxiety at paper events, I have quite a repertoire of anti-anxiety methods. Looks like Jesse has just gone ahead with that fetch land and seems to be sending it back to Travis, or we're waiting for some kind of call.
Jesse may just be thinking through the turn. Because, clearly we're not on Travis's turn yet. So, and Jesse is not taking any action right now. Here we go. Maybe it's a matter of, do I want to run into these Esper Sentinels and give Travis free cards or not? Which is certainly unpleasant, but if it was,
but if you've got two, it's hard. Like, what are you really going to do against two Esper Sentinels? Like, not cast your whole deck?
Right. So let's just say hypothetically, if Jesse had engineered explosives in hand, do you explosives for 1, let Travis draw 2 cards and then blow up 4 permanents, or do you pay 3 and then wait to blow them up next turn? I mean, if it's something like that, there's all kinds of scenarios
I
I
think
can envision
I would
here.
probably get rid of 3 permanents right now, or 4 permanents right now. That seems that's like a 4 for 2. That's fine.
Right. Yeah. But so just there's definitely things Jesse could be considering here as to is whatever card worth playing 2 of or an more expensive card into the Esper Sentinels or not.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a 3-mana Emry. Okay.
Wear Tear. And it doesn't look like we're going to be paying for the Esper Sentinels, but we will be getting rid of quite a few mana generating things for Travis.
Yeah, 2/3 of Travis's mana get blown up there. I mean, you can obviously have a land drop for this turn, and he's much more likely to have one after drawing 2 cards, but Jesse does certainly slow down the capabilities right there.
Does still have a Marsh Flats. I feel like the Azorius Hammer decks, I'm always so surprised. I feel like they never have a ton of mana, but Travis has been just like as much mana as you could possibly need for this deck every single time. And Pure Steel Paladin coming into play. And that could potentially get a little spooky. We are still off of Metalcraft, but going in the right direction. A nice thing to have in play for if we do cast a hammer soon.
All right, Bauble here from Jesse, and wow, 2 cards drawn. So this is going to have to be a big turn for Jesse here to justify that, which I'm sure it will be. Conniving on Shredder is also nice. Here's an Emry for 2 mana. Shredder first.
Well, it looks like 2 artifacts went to the graveyard, but I can't quite make out what they are exactly. And I don't think any of them look like Grinding Station, but could be wrong.
No, I didn't see a Grinding Station either. I thought I saw 2 land, Unholy Heat, and Prismatic Ending, but could be wrong.
It could have been a Prismatic Ending and not a artifact.
Huh. Question from a viewer that just showed up. Is it through the breach or Underworld Breach? And it is Underworld Breach.
I thought the same thing earlier when I was like just listening to the broadcast and you said that you were going to be watching Izzet Breach. I was like, oh, through the breach. And then it ended up being Underworld Breach. And I was like, oh, okay.
All right. So Travis looking at Jesse's graveyard. I believe, okay, so there is a Grinding Station in the graveyard. So you're right about that. I believe there is an Underworld Breach in Jesse's hand. So Emry is one of the key components. Sounds like we have most of the elements. No Mox Amber yet.
But it also doesn't seem like Travis has anything to do about it. And instead is just going to try and go for a big attack here.
Well, this Ledger Shredder is available to block. And also, it's not going to be a lethal attack anyway, although it is certainly sizable.
Are we only missing Mox Amber?
If there is, in fact, an Underworld Breach in hand, then yes, I believe that is true.
Because there's a Thoracle.
Right.
This might have been a great start for Travis and I'll be for not.
There's a Mox Amber.
Okay, and it looks like that was also the draw based on Jesse's body language there.
Yeah, okay, so here we go. Emry is active. Here's the Breach. 2 mana tapped here. So this Underworld Breach allows cards to be cast from the graveyard at the cost of exiling 3 cards from the graveyard to give anything flashback. It's not technically flashback, it's escape. Here we go, and you can Jesse looks pretty confident here. Grinding Station will mill 3, untap whenever an artifact comes into play, which is enough to just filter through. And this looks like that's going to be it.
Yeah. Wow.
And so instead of going through the combo, Travis is just going to say, I can shortcut. I accept that you're going to win this game. Let me just look through your deck because I'm going to get to see it all anyway as you mill it. And then we'll move on to game 3. So there we go. Relevant aspects of playing a deck with a potential combo finish is when it comes together, you can win situations where you're behind on the board, which is most definitely what I would say would describe this situation here.
Again, Travis just going to take this moment, take a look at how Jesse sideboarded. Makes sense and good to do this as well.
Yeah. So without drawing the Mox, it wasn't guaranteed that Jesse couldn't have won without drawing the Mox. It would have just been harder, I would think. The Emry or the Breach could still have played the Grinding Station. You can mill some cards. If you find a Mox, it's easy. Otherwise, it's easier. Otherwise, you perhaps go with Mishra's Bauble. The problem is, in that case, you don't get to build up mana like you do with the Mox.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you mill the Mox, then you can generate mana, and you're on your way. And then Thassa's Oracle will eventually win you the game by casting that off of Underworld Breach when you have no cards left in your deck, or at least fewer cards than your Devotion, which is basically going to be 0. So, game 3 incoming. That was nice. This is what we wanted to see, right? We wanted to see exciting games. We wanted to see game 3. We want to see Hammer versus the combo elements of the Breach deck.
Yeah, and we can see that Travis is, based on how that game went, or being on the play this time around, making some amendments to some sideboard decisions.
Yeah, so, and because he just got to see all of Jesse's deck and how she boarded in game 2, I didn't actually notice myself during the cards that milled or the Ragavans present, but maybe that would lead Travis to think, okay, I can trim out maybe the Memnite or something else if there's no early creatures to block with. That would be one way to go.
Well, this is also interesting too, because then we're also getting to see Jesse made a few changes as well. Those could be play draw decisions, but it could also be like, okay, now that I know that my opponent got to look through my whole deck, see how I sideboarded, do I at least pretend to sideboard and change some things to keep my opponent on their toes, or exactly what is happening there?
Right. Okay. So, game 3. The finals is waiting. Is it for Jesse Robkin or is it for Travis Brown? Jesse was already in a finals today, this weekend, playing the finals of the team tournament this morning, coming up just shy of the win. Playing Pioneer, Green Devotion. Here, we're all playing Modern, not just 1/3 of each team, and playing her Izzet Breach deck versus Travis Brown, Azorius Hammer, who has looked good all day long, looking to make his way to the finals. Potentially, I mean, there is another Hammer deck in the other side of the bracket. We could have, we saw a Hammer Mirror a short while ago. Could we see another one in the finals? So the other side of the bracket was Ivan Espinosa's 4-color versus Jordan Litsky's Hammer deck. And I can tell you that Jordan Litsky did prevail. So the Hammer deck, is waiting in the finals for the winner of this match.
Wow, that was a strong finish too, because last I heard they were going to game 2, and that was what feels like 3 minutes ago. So
well, oof. All right, drawing up opening hands. Let's see it. Travis still owes Jesse a mulligan, although most people don't abide by that. In fact, none of my opponents ever have.
I was just about to say the exact same thing.
I do always offer. Look at that. Travis Brown's like, you know what? Jesse took a mulligan this match. I haven't. I'll even it up. Fair is fair.
And that looks like Jesse is choosing to keep 7. Just got to make you shake in your boots a little bit.
Yeah. So, in chat, do you want to see a Hammer Mirror in the finals, or do you want to see Izzet Breach versus Hammers? Let us know in the chat. Let us know by subscribing to by following the channel, following us on Twitter, YouTube, all those things. You know, if you do those, if you do one of those things, we'll assume you're interested one way or the other, and that's all we really care about, making you all happy. maybe not all we care about, but it's somewhere on the list.
Somewhere on the list for sure.
Call to complete in the hand. It's not exactly where you want it. Is this a keepable 6 anyway? It is not. Travis
Wow.
Brown going to 5. Okay, this is harder, but as we talked about earlier, Hammer can win on a 5-card hand on turn 3, so no guarantees yet that Jesse's going to be safe. Although we also talked about how in sideboard games, the games are likely to be slower as the players are playing more removal and adjusting to what their opponents are bringing. If you're interested in looking at the deck lists, they are on MTG Melee. They'll also be posted on the Nerd Rage social medias probably within a couple days. But you can see every deck list from the tournament, from both tournaments, available on MTG Melee right now. Okay.
Looks like throwing back a Shadowspear as one of the cards. Unable to get a look at the other one, but it makes sense because you have so many ways to tutor up the Shadowspear if that's what you wanted.
All right, choices have been made. Travis Brown ready to go on the play here in Game 3 of the semifinals. Nerd Rage Modern 5K. Let's get it underway. Windswept Heath to start. Turn 1 play incoming. Some of these turn 1s these Hammer decks have, Travis might only have 1 card left in hand at the end of this turn. Although, notable, true. I believe last game Travis got 6 cards off of the 2 Esper Sentinels.
Yeah.
So that's a way for him to recover cards.
Card advantage doesn't matter if you're just going to combo win like Jesse did last game as well, though.
Yeah. That is certainly true.
Jesse with a start of Bauble. Take a look at the top of her own deck. And must not like it very much if we're Arid Mesa-ing to shuffle everything back up.
Okay, chat. I apologize if it is in fact true that the deck lists are not available yet on Melee, even though they're supposed to be. We will get that done. Production's hearing me talk right now, and they'll get to work on that for you.
Sacred Foundry. Untapped looks to be the pick for Jesse. So what's going to be the follow-up? Oh, maybe not going to be the pick. My bad.
Yeah, she's just trying to provoke a response at you.
Success.
Yeah.
I have been baited.
All right. So the white mana will have to wait. Steam Vents into play. And just a pass. Card coming from Mishra's Bauble. We have certainly seen a few Mishra's Bauble triggers missed this weekend. Jesse's on top of things, picks it up. The cantrip and Travis. All right, Urza Saga. That's a way to generate extra cards. Stoneforge Mystic. That's a way to put a massive 5/5, very difficult to deal with Germ into play on turn 3.
Looks like that was what was moved to the front. It got things done in game number 1. Oh, you know, that's fair considering that we have Sigarda's Aid in play, but not going to be able to live. Unholy Heat going to take care of that Stoneforge Mystic. So maybe actually a heads up play to go ahead with a 1 mana thing and not go for the more difficult to actually cast Cauldron Complete.
Right, I definitely agree. Yeah, if you're concerned that the Stoneforge Mystic isn't going to live, then getting the Cauldron Complete is the worst way to go. So here is a Mox and then an Emry flipping over a grinding station. Mox casts a Springleaf Drum. Okay, pretty solid developmental turn here for Jesse. Travis, no. I was going to say no haste creatures in Hammer decks. That's incorrect. There is one. That's right, Ginger Brute. So a Ginger Brute off the Urza Saga, if there's a second Hammer, could potentially provide lethal next turn. That's optimistic, but when you mold a 5, you have to be optimistic because there's no reason to play scared.
Did we not get anything off of our Urza Saga?
No, that's a turn away still.
Oh, right.
All right, Pure Steel. That allows a cantrip off of the hammer. There's that.
Okay.
Making back up a card. And a pass, tapped out. No interaction here.
Oh, looks like Jesse is hand gesturing like this is pretty much it, too.
Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff happened there. The Urza Saga Dice is on the wrong land. Travis is like, hey, do you want to straighten this out? And Jesse's like, it doesn't matter. You're dead.
I got it.
Yeah, and that is, in fact, the case. Jesse Robkin will tutor up. Well, not necessarily tutor, will mill through the deck. So I guess it's still tutoring, really. Find Thassa's Oracle and defeat Travis Brown.
Yeah, I mean, Travis
finals.
already looked through all of Jesse's deck once before, so understands how it worked from the previous game, and Jesse's able to put it together once again.
Yeah, and Jesse will advance to her second finals of the weekend, looking to take home the trophy this time around. We'll find out. She'll play the same match that we just saw again in the finals. We'll take a short break. We'll come back and see how the end plays out. This is New Rage Gaming. We have one more match to go, just the finals. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.